Oh, come on. Someone parked their bike in my space again.
Hey, you can't just move someone's bike like that.
Either follow the rules or I'll have you evicted.
Are you being serious right now?
Trouble busters!
Oh, come on. Someone parked their bike in my space again? And they even broke the lock I was using to keep it shut. Who keeps doing this? Guess I have to buy a new lock again. Coming.
Hey, you can't just move someone's bike like that.
Huh? My name's Helen. I'm a housewife, but I also have a part-time job. This guy here is Evan. He lives next door. Apparently he thinks my bike rack is his for some strange reason.
That's because it is mine.
Look, Evan, we've been through this before. I have a contract that clearly states that space is mine.
I don't care about some stupid contract.
But having this contract is literally the only thing that matters.
Tell it to somebody who cares, Blondie. Now for the last time, don't go parking your lame old lady bike in my space ever again.
Good grief. We go through the same routine every day, it feels like. I'm the one paying for that space. I should be the one using it. I'd been trying to avoid a bigger confrontation with him, but the day after that, something happened that I couldn't ignore. Coming! Mr. Thompson, what are you doing here?
Either follow the rules or I'll have you evicted.
Evicted? What's going on? I don't understand.
I've received a serious complaint about you from Evan here.
A complaint? About what?
I understand that you've been placing chains and locks on his bicycle parking space. You don't deny that, do you?
Really, Evan?
Given that response, it seems that you don't deny Evan's allegations then.
Hold on. Yes, I did put a chain and lock on that bike rack, but it's not Evan's space, it's mine. I've told him that before.
Stop lying, Blondie. I told you to stop using my space before, and you promised me that you'd never do it again.
You are making that up. I said no such thing, Evan.
Yes, you did, you liar. I wanted to settle this like adults, but you left me no choice but to talk to the landlord.
This is insane. He is lying through his teeth, and the landlord is actually buying it.
You'll get no more warnings, Helen. Remove the chains and lock immediately.
I can take them off if you really want me to, but I am telling you that space is mine.
Quit your yapping and go get rid of that chain, Blondie. Do it right now, or else.
You're not listening to me. I was so flustered by Evan's lies and Mr. Thompson's credulity that I didn't know what to do or say. I don't get it. Why does he believe Evan? All the evidence says that I'm telling the truth. All he'd have to do is take one look at the contract that I have and he'd know Evan was lying immediately. Well, I'm not going to stand back and let Evan get away with stealing what's rightfully mine. I'll show them. It's time for a queen-sized trouble buster. Would it be okay if I stop by my apartment first before I take off the chain?
No, do it right now.
I'm kinda nervous being alone with you.
Oh yeah? And why's that? Because you're afraid of finally facing the consequences you deserve?
That's not it. I'm just saying I'm uncomfortable with how this is going down. You two are refusing to listen to my side of the story. It's not fair.
What's not fair is you using my space. You should be grateful I decided to take this up with the landlord instead of dealing with you myself.
There you go again, refusing to listen to anything I say. Since the moment you got here, all you've done is yell at me and threaten me into doing what you want.
Don't paint me out to be the bad guy. You're the one who keeps parking your bike in my space and locking it up when you're not using it. If I thought you would listen to reason, I wouldn't have to be so assertive.
What I do with my bike rack is none of your concern. I have every right to use it.
You see, Mr. Thompson, she's acting like a total child. I can't get through to her.
Helen, you need to remove that chain this instant. Are you trying to get evicted?
Are you being serious right now? You're going to evict me after only listening to what Evan is telling you?
Why would he need to listen to you when I'm in the right?
Rules exist for a reason, Helen. They're the only thing separating us from animals. If you won't follow the rules, then I have every intention of evicting you.
How many times do I have to tell you that I am following the rules? That space is mine.
Nuh-uh, it's my space.
Then you'll have to explain why this contract, which was signed by both me and Mr. Thompson, clearly states it is my space.
But Evan is certain that you're mistaken, Helen. It doesn't seem likely that he could be incorrect about which parking space is his.
I'll be honest, I can kind of understand how Mr. Thompson feels right now. If I were in his shoes, even I might be convinced by Evan's persistence. But I know for a fact right now that my own bike is locked up in my own space. I've held my tongue for too long. If Evan wants a fight, then he's got one. I'm not backing down one single inch on this. Mr. Thompson, did you actually go and look at the bike rack before coming here today?
Huh? Oh, now that you mention it, I didn't. Evan stopped by my office, and once I heard his piece, the both of us headed straight over here.
What's the point of going all that way just to find out that everything I'm saying is true?
Yeah, I thought you'd say that. You didn't even do the bare minimum to confirm his story. How about we go down there together right now? That should settle the matter pretty quickly, don't you think?
Yes, I suppose you're right. Let's go and take a look then.
Screw that! I'm not wasting my precious time confirming that I'm right and she's wrong.
Uh-oh, Evan. You seem kind of nervous. If you're so sure you're correct, what's the matter with going to check?
Duh, because it's a total waste of time. Now hurry up and take off that stupid chain.
I don't think it's very responsible to consider a matter settled after only hearing one side of the story. Do you, Mr. Thompson?
Are you calling me a liar, Blondie? Huh?
If you're not a liar, then you shouldn't be so opposed to going to check it out in person.
I'm not a liar, so I know that going to check would be a waste of time. Get that through your thick skull.
I'd say the bigger waste of time is standing here arguing when we could end this immediately by going to the bike rack together.
You know what, Helen? You're absolutely right. I apologize for being so careless. Let's go over there right now, shall we?
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Hey, get back here!
Just to cover all our bases, there are just tire racks with no locks, and each resident needs to supply their own lock, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you had room numbers engraved into each individual stand, right?
Yes, I had them engraved specifically to prevent the sort of trouble we're having right now.
Unfortunately, it looks like your idea wasn't foolproof.
Indeed.
Next are room numbers. My number is 326 and Evan's is 325, correct? If you take a look, you'll find that my name and address are written on my bike. Go ahead and check the bike parked in stand number 326, Mr. Thompson.
Ah, well, you were right, Helen. Your name and address are clearly written on the sticker right here.
Yeah, well, so what? That doesn't prove anything. It's just a stupid sticker. She could have put it on there before we got here.
Fair enough, but you're gonna have to work a lot harder to explain this video of you cutting my lock and chain.
What? How did you get that video? Have you been spying on me? I'm gonna sue you.
That's my line, Evan. I'm tired of you doing this all the time. So I hid out in the bushes and waited for you to do it again.
That's disgusting. You're not just spying on me, you're stalking me.
Well, Mr. Thompson, does this make the situation clear to you?
It seems as though I've made a grave error in judgment. I feel terrible about this, Helen. You were right to be upset at me earlier. I was an utter fool for not checking myself.
It's not all your fault. Evan lied to you. Although the threat of eviction did go a bit overboard, I'd say.
I'm so sorry, Helen.
What are you apologizing to her for? Don't tell me she changed your mind with that fake video.
Could you make up your mind? Was I stalking you or is it a fake video? You can't have it both ways. Anyway, are you still gonna try and tell us that this is your space?
Of course I am. I was using it for way longer than you were, Blondie. I got here first.
Well, it may be true that I've only been using it for the last couple months. But as the resident of the unit that is tied to this bike stand, I have every right to use it.
Stop being so dramatic. It's not like you're paying anything to use it. What's wrong with me parking my bike here when you weren't?
Now wait just a moment. The bike racks being free for residents is beside the point.
Right? I may not have been using it before, but I am using it now. The fee for using this space is included in my rent.
I'm paying rent too. That means I have just as much of a right to use it as you do.
You're paying for one room and one bike rack, aren't you? That's just the same as me.
Don't give me that. I ain't the same as you. I deserve to use that space. You don't.
Oh, and do you think you deserve to cut off my bike locks and throw my bike to the side? You've put a bunch of scratches on it, you know.
That ain't my fault. It was in my way, so I moved it, that's all.
You didn't just move it, you threw it onto the sidewalk. I've lost track of how many times you've done that.
Don't like it? Then you shouldn't have parked it in my space.
Between the two of us, I'm the only one who's been following the rules of this apartment complex. Meanwhile, you're acting like a toddler stealing a toy from another kid on the playground.
You're out of your mind. I'm following the rules just fine.
Are you kidding? If you'd been following the rules, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I don't see any rule in my lease agreement that says I can only use my own bike rack.
If that's true, that's an oversight on my part, and I'll need to update the lease agreements.
If you ask me, you shouldn't need to explicitly include such an obvious rule. Now that you know which space is yours, why don't you just use your own space from now on? Isn't that old and beaten up bike parked there yours?
So what if it is? I could park whatever bike I want there. It's my space.
Exactly. If you have your bike parked in your own space, then you shouldn't need to be using mine. Seriously, what is your problem, Evan?
My girlfriend rides her bike over here, but there's no other place to park it nearby. I can't force my girlfriend to walk all the way from the closest bike rack. It's like 50 yards away.
50 yards? You don't want your girlfriend to have to walk 50 yards? What's the matter with her? Are her legs broken or something?
Hey, don't you dare talk about my girlfriend ever again.
You're the one who brought her into the conversation. Plus, I can see spider webs all over that bike. Do you ever even use it? If you're just gonna leave it there, why don't you get rid of it and have your girlfriend park in your space?
I ain't throwing that bike away. I might want to use it someday. Now, would you kindly shut up and move your stupid bike already?
I feel like I'm gonna get a brain aneurysm just by talking to you.
Hey, check it out. It looks like Evan and Helen are talking over there. Huh, I wonder what they're talking about.
It seems like a bunch of the other residents heard our argument and everyone was coming out of their rooms to watch us. Ugh, this is so embarrassing. I need to end this as quickly as possible. Tell you what, how about I go ahead and let you use this bike rack?
Finally! Now hurry up and get your bike out of here.
However, it's not going to be for free. Remember, the fee for using this bike rack is included in my monthly rent payments. If you're going to take that space away from me, then you're going to have to foot the bill for me too.
No way! You gotta pay for that space. It's in the lease agreement you signed, right? That means you're gonna pay for it. I ain't giving you 1 cent.
Right you are, Evan. That bike rack is included in my lease agreement. And yet you are constantly moving my bike out of it. I've forgotten how many bike locks I've had to buy because you keep cutting them off.
Hey, I didn't make you buy those.
But I did pay for them and used them to secure my bike in my bike rack. And you destroyed them. Don't you realize that I am well within my rights to press charges against you? That's malicious destruction of property. And not to mention the lease agreement also states that the bike racks are for residents only.
That's exactly right. Your girlfriend has no right to park her bike here regardless. If I was so inclined, I could issue the two of you a hefty fine for that.
Even after all that, you aren't so inclined?
A fine? Give me a break. You ain't gonna give me no fine. I'll never pay it. Blondie here wasn't using the rack, so I took it off her hands. I didn't hurt nobody.
I've lost track of how many people you've hurt, Evan.
What's that supposed to mean?
Just what it sounds like. Didn't you notice that your childish shouting and screaming has attracted a massive crowd around us?
I was shouting. This is how I always talk.
Oh, trust me, I am very aware that this is your normal voice. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure all the other residents are too.
Huh?
I mean, your massive voice is audible through the walls of the building. I know you're sorely lacking in common sense, but do you really not realize how much trouble you cause everyone around you?
I haven't caused no trouble for nobody.
You're causing me trouble right now.
Could you be more specific about what sort of trouble Evan has been causing? Depending on the circumstances, I may have no choice but to evict him from the building.
What? Get out of here. She's just making stuff up now.
What sort of trouble is he causing? Oh boy, how much time do you have? Let's see, he always puts his garbage in the collection area several days too early, making the whole area smell awful.
That ain't true. I never do that.
It is true. And you sometimes don't even put it in the garbage bags. You just dump it out all in the bin. That calls mice, you idiot.
Hey!
And I'm just getting started. You also make a ridiculous amount of noise. Every single day you blast your awful music at max volume into all hours of the night. I can barely sleep sometimes.
Come to think of it, I have been getting noise complaints for some time now.
Yeah, well, it ain't me.
It was you, and you kept right on doing it even after Mr. Thompson put this sign up. You can't say you didn't see it either. It was right next to the door.
Well, I didn't see it, and besides, you can't prove I'm the one making that noise.
Actually, as your next-door neighbor, I totally can.
Actually, as your next-door neighbor, shut up!
Well, Evan, shall I go on, or do you get the point by now?
I get the point that you have nothing on me. I'm innocent.
I have a feeling that the rest of the residents feel strongly to the contrary.
Yeah, right. They all love me. You've been writing graffiti on my car with washable paint. Sure, it's washable, but it still takes forever to wash it all off. Knock that off.
See what I mean?
You've been sticking gum all over the handrails on the stairway, too. That's just disgusting.
But that's... stop leaving candy wrappers all over the place. What are you, 5? I didn't do...
And another thing, stop blocking the hallway with your huge cardboard boxes.
I only put it there for a sec. And stop putting your unwanted mail into my mailbox. You do that all the time. My mailbox isn't your wastebasket, you jerk. Shut up, all of you! You're all just a bunch of liars. You can't prove I did any of that stuff. You've got nothing.
I bet the security camera footage would tell a different story.
Ah, yes, that old thing. I had that installed last month after getting a surge of complaints. I forgot all about it.
What? You set up a security camera? I had no idea.
Really? He posted a public notice right next to the one about loud music late at night.
But if that's true, then why didn't you come and say all that to my face?
Because there would be a line in front of your door stretching for miles with people waiting for their turn.
No, there wouldn't.
Not to mention, I'm sure that like me, everyone else just didn't want to have to deal with having a face-to-face conversation with you. So they put in all those complaints anonymously and hoped the landlord would take care of you for them. I guess we should have been much more direct with him, since it looks like just putting up security cameras wasn't enough.
I thought that you'd take the hint, but you're totally oblivious. You thought we all loved you? Ha! We can't stand you!
You're the worst neighbor I've had in my entire life.
Believe me, Evan, there are plenty more people than just us who are fed up with your behavior.
And to think you were trying to get Helen evicted.
Seriously, dude, how shameless can you possibly be?
Whoa, what's going on here?
Misty? I didn't think you were coming over today.
Yeah, but I forgot my eyeliner in your room last night. Can I go grab it real quick? Ah, so you must be Evan's girlfriend. Yeah. And, who are you? It's nice to meet you. I'm Helen, the woman whose bike rack you've been using without permission. Huh? Why do I need your permission? It's just a bike rack. Actually, the rules of this apartment building state that only residents are allowed to use the bike racks.
Hey, leave her out of this. She's not involved.
Excuse me? Just how is she not involved? She was the one parking here. Could you please park your bike somewhere else from now on? Ugh, I'm not gonna walk all the way here. I don't want to get all sweaty right before I go and see my boyfriend. Are you for real? I'm sorry, but those are the rules for this apartment building. But, what's the big deal if no one else is using it? I am using it. You've been cutting my locks and moving my bike. Yeah, and, if you wouldn't put those stupid locks there, I wouldn't have to cut them every time. Wow, Misty, I'd say that you and Evan are a match made in heaven. You're perfect for each other.
I know, right?
I already tried explaining this to Evan, but cutting my locks in order to use my parking space is malicious destruction of property. If you don't want me to get the police involved, I suggest you stop doing that immediately. Oh no, the police? I'm so scared. You think the cops care about your stupid bike locks? If they won't help, then I'll simply have to get a lawyer and sue you in civil court instead. So you're gonna end up dealing with either jail time or a hefty fine either way. Oh, shut up, Granny. It's not like you can prove I did it. We've already covered that, Misty. There is plenty of security camera footage of both you and Evan cutting my locks. Also, I have all the locks you've broken up until now in a box in my apartment, and I guarantee that both of your fingerprints are on my bike somewhere.
Oh, you want to threaten us with a lawsuit, huh? That sounds like blackmail to me. I'll sue you!
I'm not the least bit surprised that you don't know what the legal definition of blackmail is. All I'm doing right now is explaining all the legal options I have to go after you.
Yeah, and you're threatening to sue us. How is that not blackmail?
Would you give it up already?
No one asked for your opinion, losers.
I think I'll, come back for my eyeliner later, Evan. Bye-bye.
Wait, Misty, don't go without me.
You're not going anywhere, Evan. We're not done with you yet.
What do you want now? Get off my back already.
We still need to talk about the issue of your behavior in the apartment complex. When I read those complaints, I had no idea that they were all about you, Evan. I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to all the other residents.
You got nothing to apologize for, Mr. Thompson. They're making all that crap up. I didn't do any of that stuff.
I'll be checking the security camera footage personally to confirm their stories. And if I find that they were telling me the truth about your behavior, then I'm afraid I will have no choice but to begin eviction proceedings against you.
No, you can't do that. I'll be a good boy from now on, I swear. Hey, Blondie, I'll tell my girlfriend to park her bike somewhere else when she comes to visit me, okay? So can't we, let bygones be bygones? Water under the bridge and all that.
If by bygones you mean I tell you bye and then you're gone, then sure. But the choice to evict you or not isn't up to me. It's up to Mr. Thompson as the landlord. Take it up with him.
But if you tell him you forgive me, he might not evict me. You gotta do something.
Not a chance. The sooner you get kicked out of the building, the sooner the rest of us can finally get some peace and quiet.
I'll start my investigation into the matter this afternoon and tell you what my decision is by the end of the week.
Don't listen to these guys. They're just jealous that I got a cooler haircut than they do. You think that haircut looks good? You look like a freaking chicken, dude.
And look at your clothes. You look like an extra from an 80s biker gang movie.
Shut up, you two. I don't want any fashion advice from a wannabe lumberjack and his overweight accountant.
Evan kept trying to outshout the rest of the residents, voicing their complaints against him for a while after that. But once Mr. Thompson said he was evicting him for sure, he went pale as a ghost instantly. We decided that we could depend on Mr. Thompson to take care of the rest, so after watching Evan get reamed out briefly, we all went home. Maybe being humiliated like this in front of dozens of his neighbors and his girlfriend will get him to think about what he's done. And then Evan cried as he ran back to his apartment.
I don't think I've seen Evan around lately. Did Mr. Thompson evict him already?
Apparently he didn't have to. Evan moved out of his own accord the very next day.
Really? After all the fuss he put up wanting to stay, he just left voluntarily?
I bet he couldn't handle the embarrassment. There were 30 people there that day, and every single person had some sort of complaint against him.
I guess he finally realized just how unpopular he was around here. I wouldn't want to live around a bunch of people who hated me either.
But enough about him. Let's eat before our dinner gets cold.
Gladly. I'm starving.
With Evan gone, a newfound sense of peace swept over the entire apartment complex. Whoever moves into his old apartment, I hope they have a little bit more common sense than Evan did. Until next time, Trouble Busters!